morning. We are on a public holiday today, which is Monday the 4th of May 2026. We had a very productive weekend. I've painted that chair, got more on me than what's on the chair, redone the spa gardens, fairy lights, we've weeded all the gardens. We had a wedding on Friday night in Rockhampton. We had a wedding Saturday night in Gladstone and didn't come home till after midnight. Yesterday we've spent tidying up and trying to get organised, and today we're going to go for a ride on our new addition to this shed. We actually purchased it from one of Greg's mates in November or December, and I haven't actually been on a bike this year, so Greg's kitted it all out so with all the bags, so it's going to feel like it's how I ride when we go on a tour. So another orange bike, because we all know Carmen knows bikes so well, hopefully it'll be good. So we're going out to Dululu pub again to meet one of my really close friends from high school. He's up from Sydney, so come ride with us and see what our bike feels like. It'll be great. Okay, so scrap that. So Greg's just been called into work, so we will have to wait until we go on our ride until he comes back. So stay tuned. Okay, so Greg's just come home. We're on an hour delay of what we were going to do, so we're just heading out now. Our round park has just finished and had its first game on the weekend, so hopefully the venue's a lot better, and we'll add that to the list to go watch the local Cowboys play games too. So this little town is called Bouldercombe, and it's just at the bottom of the Mount Morgan Range. It has a primary school, a servo, and just a lot more rural. It's only 20 minutes out of Rocky, and this is where our friend Frog lives. But it had a pub when I was a kid, and it was one of the best pubs. And if I ever won the lotto, I'd probably buy this pub and redo it all, bring bring it back to its old former glory. I even had a speedway truck. Dad used to do the speedway when I was little, and yeah, it was always a great weekend at the speedway and then the pubs. So that's the pub over there, just in front of the park. So it's completely run down and extremely unsafe to probably even enter. Where the speedway used to be. So we are going, that's the Mount Morgan Range way, that way. This way is called the Razorback. So actually miss out on all the corners, but it is actually a little bit quicker because we are running behind. The headlights that I had, but I all the time could not make it up this hill, so the boys would have to get out and either push me up or tow me up, or we'd have to run it back down and then get a massive run up to try and get up it. But yeah, created a lot of fun memories, probably not so fun at the time, but now it's bitumen and they've knocked some of the steepness out of it as well, but still pretty steep for the trucks and caravans and stuff as well. So yeah, heaps of memories come back from this road. So this little section's called Bari, and used to walk out here from town for parties and a lot of shenanigans that used to happen out here when we were younger, and so glad we didn't have social media back then. You know, and that's the house. Okay, so this is Mount Morgan, the town that I grew up in since the age of 3. So a lot of great memories. Thought it was pretty crappy when you were a kid because there's honestly nothing to do, so we made our own entertainment, which was probably not always the best choices, but everyone knew everyone and we sort of were allowed to have free range, which was great when you look at it as an adult. So it was a really good little town to grow up into, and created a lot of friendships which I still have today. So just a little small town, like everyone knew everyone. We did skating on Friday nights, there was parties every weekend, just depends whose house it was at. We worked, yeah, so we were entertained. We had the dam as well that we used to go swimming, and used to be able to ski and do kneeboarding and everything when we were a little up there as well. But yeah, so they have their annual festival every May Day weekend, which is the first weekend in May, and they have events every day. So the main attraction was always Saturday with the street parade and the running and the cutter. So you used to have to be in teams and you run from pub to pub and you had to scull a beer. But most of the pubs are closed down now, so I think there is only 2 still running. When I was a kid there was 2, 3, 4, 5. So I don't know how the running and the cut actually works these days with only the 2 pubs, but they might still just do the same route. So this is the high school I went to. It was built in, 1901, 1912. This is one of the pubs still operating, the post office, Main Street with the running of the Cutter Primary School. That used to be a Catholic school. I think they've just turned it into a church. This was the preschool I went to. Another pub that was coming up is now closed down. And you go up there and that's the lookout, so we might do that on the way home. So you can see the mine. So we'll be stopping in here on the way home to call in and visit the parentals, who we haven't seen in forever. Feels like forever anyway. So the park that's coming up on the left was the Apex Park. Dad was heavily involved in Apex when I was a kid. So again, great friendships with some kids and families. And that old mining dragline or whatever, I actually painted that. Hey Nana J. That caravan used to have a water slide that was the water slide from hell, and everyone ended up with broken bones. Dad and Uncle Trevor and my cousin Megan and I came out here to get some sand from one of the creeks, and on the way home Megan and I were in the back seat. We're like, there's a guy in our trailer in the sand, and Dad and Trevor believe us. We're like, no, there's a guy literally in our trailer. And they pulled over, and yeah, it was a motorbike rider and hit our trailer, and he ended up in our sand. So yeah, I don't know actually what happened or anything, but yeah, it's one of the stories I can remember. So we just had a tour of Graham's farm from where he lived when he was a wee little boy, and did a few sleepovers out here when we were younger. Met his brother and his wife and their daughter Jazz. But yeah, relived a few moments from childhood, as well as helping them move, I don't even know what it's called, one of the pipey things for the solos. So yeah, good little afternoon. So now we're off to visit Mum and Dad at Mount Morgan. So that's Graham's property. I should say his brother's property. Dululu pub. Greg's pulling up to park, and I don't know what's happened, but I thought the stand was down, and Greg's told me to hop off, and I've hopped off, but the whole bike went over, and Carmen's fallen off and ended up on the footpath, and got an applause from the guys and everyone that were on the front of the... Yeah. Sorry. When... so all the guys were all clapping because I made a grand entrance at the pub. Graham wasn't too happy because I stole all the attention. That's the Don River where we used to swim when we were kids. But yeah, the meal was amazing at the pub today. So, and I think the accommodation's finally open as well. So if you haven't already, come out to the Dululu pub for lunch or dinner, and open on public holidays, which is great. So this is the Arthur Timms Lookout at Mount Morgan, where my nana used to live over that side and used to walk to school from there. And then this is the mine. You're right to just go around if you want. So the gold mine, and they've just restarted again. 2 stacks. Say bye, Dad.
Bye, Dad.
Probably one of the only spots that has corners for motorbike riders, so the boys, a lot of people come and use this on weekends for rides and everything. I remember when I was young, Nana Jay took us on the bus to go to Rocky for the day, and I can remember on one of the corners the bus had to reverse because it was too sharp of a corner, and yeah, it was extremely scary. But also done this road that many times. Could do it with your eyes closed, and in cars without seatbelts back in the day. So very eventful times again. don't know if our overseas friends know that Rockhampton is known as the beef capital of Australia, and we have statues of bulls all over our lovely town, and back in the day it was habit to steal their bits and used to get missing a lot. So now that they've actually done it, they've put like steel rods through them and cemented them into the holding spots. Back home after a great day out on the bike, except for my grand entrance off the bike at the Dululu Hotel. Won't mention that one. But yeah, so great to catch up with Graham and then back to the farm. Such a drama queen. Both. That's why we're friends. Then stopped into mum and dad and then home again. So what'd you think of the bike? Have you? Oh, you rode it home? Oh, okay. Well, I was a bit, not scared, but I think I was just nervous because I haven't been on the bike for so long. So I preferred the sports mode. So, no, but go on another adventure hopefully next weekend. Thanks for following.